So I don't understand, if 8 million is not enough to come here illegally in the last 4 years, how much is enough? I mean,
Well, if the
what
gentleman
is,
yields-
what is the number that the Democratic Party thinks is enough illegal immigration?
If the gentleman would,
What's the number? Yeah, I'll yield, Mr. McGovern. What's the number that the Democratic Party thinks is enough illegal
I would say you're
immigration?
mischaracterizing the position of the Democratic Party, and I would say that in the United States Senate, Democrats came together with Republicans on a pretty tough immigration bill. That, well, you know what? I mean, you could disagree with the conservative Republican senators who supported it, but the bottom line is, please don't mischaracterize my position. We are here today to rehash an old bill, right, with some changes on it. And we know why we're here. We're here because you're trying to figure whether you can get some votes on the Ukraine package. And so that's why we're here. And I'm just saying, you can bring whatever you want to bring to the floor. You're in charge. I'm just simply saying, if you're not going to bring it to the floor, let's not belabor this evening. That's all.
I will yield my time back to the chair. I will just tell you that legal immigration is an asset to the United States of America, and illegal immigration is a liability to the United States of America. And I do not understand how anybody can think that that is not a true statement.
Well, if I could just point out, if you're going to tolerate illegal immigration, there's no point to legal immigration.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. My name is Wayne Dupree, and we are live. Welcome to the Wayne Dupree podcast. It is 12:02, Thursday, April 18th. Our last day of the week, and it's our Friday, your Thursday. A lot to talk about. Short time to do it, but I'm going to get some help. Let me introduce the godfather of conservative radio, Mr. Hutch Bailey Jr.
Hello, Wayne. Hello, everybody. Just glad to wrap this week up in historic times.
In historic times, that is. And so historic, we have a white imam from Minnesota. Let me introduce the imam from Minnesota, Mr. Jason Robinson. What's up, Jay?
Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Wayne Hutch, ready to finish this off. I got to say, though, I saw Wayne post on social media at like 3 a.m, and I'm like, I wonder what kind of graphics packages or what kind of crazy stuff he's going to build today. So I was waiting with bated breath for the intro. Like, what's new? I
got so much on the mind and stuff lately. I've been falling asleep early. So I fell asleep early, like 6:30, 7 o'clock last night. And when I woke up, it was like 12 o'clock midnight. And I was like, oh, man.
It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a
long day, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to jump right into it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the reason why I'm bringing her up is because she's the loudest. Well, she's been the loudest for a while. But right now, she is the loudest, period. I don't want to really get into the article too much because I really didn't read it. I just read the headline. But Fox News allowed something on their website about calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene. Many people, not everybody, but many people on social media have flocked to what she is saying and what she's doing. And I'm sure that my co-pilots might have done the same thing. I just have a question. A lot of people are against Mike Johnson right now. They're totally against him because they're saying, "Man, you're just like Kevin McCarthy." Yeah, you basically passed his package. You acting just like him. You need to go too. Well, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is at the front. Johnson got to go. Johnson got to go. Look at what he's doing. He's allowing this to happen and the Ukraine stuff and everything. I just have a question for anybody that's out there that supports Marjorie Taylor Greene right now. If that is the legit position that he is doing stuff that Kevin McCarthy did, and he's like Kevin McCarthy, then why didn't Marjorie Taylor Greene say the same thing about Kevin McCarthy? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, well, other than the chapstick, but she is so. And I really didn't want to tweet it like this. Hutch. No, I ain't gonna say.
Let me
Oh,
say something.
I say this: she's balls to the wall right now and taking down Mike Johnson. But if everything is what I'm seeing, Mike Johnson, people are saying Mike Johnson is just like Kevin McCarthy, but she signed up for Kevin McCarthy, man. She was taking selfies and got her assignment and called out MAGA people and stuff, but she didn't call out McCarthy like she's doing Johnson. I still think McCarthy has his hand on her.
He does.
That's me.
I'll tell you, and if you don't mind, I want to read a couple things real quick here.
Yep.
Because yesterday I totally disagreed with you, and today I agree with you because there's a couple people out there that I just trust, and the person that wrote this is one of those people. Thomas Massie asked Speaker Johnson to resign. Massie announced he'll support MTG effort to oust Johnson. At a certain point after following politics closely, you move away from reacting to events and begin to focus on proactively predicting events. You start to develop a mental tuning fork that finds the frequency of DC compromise. And this is House of Cards stuff. In essence, you begin to assemble data and take notes on visible activity that indicates compromise. Those notes then become predictive data, and you keep it visible for later reference when trying to review motives and motivations for DC schemes. Generally, if you keep close watch and take good notes, you'll catch around 80% of the public data points that highlight the path of the political compromise, things that make other things make sense. The origin of MTG's dark motives and her individual compromise originates in the timeline of her marital breakup, sexual exploits with former Speaker McCarthy, and eventual divorce. MTG, Lauren Boebert, and Sean Hannity all have this origination timeline in common. I'm not sure what originates the deep state compromise with Massie yet, because he's backing MTG. When that initial touch took place, but I do know it goes back much further in the timeline of his congressional tenure. Massie now joins MTG calling for the removal of Mike Johnson. This is the important part, let there be absolutely no doubt removing Johnson right now is giving the speaker gavel to Democrats.
Yep.
This Machiavellian way to remove Donald Trump has always appeared to be the deep state insurance policy. When the U.S. Supreme Court reinstituted Donald Trump on the federal election ballots of the 5 leftist states who removed him, the High Court noted that disqualifying a person from presidential office could only be done by Congress, not by individual, like you stated, Wayne, at the time. If the Democrats take control of the House, disqualifying Donald Trump from federal office will be the purpose of their first legislative act. They already hold the Senate. They will do this. Thomas Massie knows this. So ask yourself, who exactly is controlling the action of Thomas Massie? Remember, he's the former endorser of Ron DeSantis on behalf of the Sea Island multinational banks. Does the question answer itself? Accept things as they are, not as you would prefer them to be. When we think we have found the bottom of the corrupt and conniving state within the DC system, pause, have a nice cup of coffee, then remind ourselves we'll never find the bottom of this level of corruption. It's effing bottomless.
Mm-hmm.
I read that and I was like, why can't I think like this guy?
But we can. The thing is, you get to a point that you see, because I didn't see it as much as that. But it started going in my head. I was like, just something ain't right.
I always thought about that divorce. That divorce was in my mind from the beginning.
Right.
Her and Boebert's.
Right.
It's like, what's going on? Why is their husbands ditching them like this, man? What's going on?
But for me, it was the Supreme Court that was the final nail in my head up here. I was like, wait a minute, these people are not only they're leaving, they are leaving, and if it switches over, because either it starts now or it starts in a couple of weeks, they're only going to have a 1 vote majority for a few weeks until a couple of special elections.
Before I forget, let me just give attribution. That was Sundance at the Conservative Treehouse. I don't want to try to. I'm
I
not
love
stealing
Sundance.
somebody else's work.
Yeah.
That guy puts the work in.
Yeah. And for me, I just wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, something ain't right.
I think we've all known that something isn't right. I think we've all known that.
Well, and I guess just to expand on that, MTG backed Kevin McCarthy because A, we suspect she was sleeping with him, and B,
Hey man, Frank.
right, and B, we know he runs the money for who gets the money for the House through his PACs. So Kevin McCarthy, like she figured out early on, if I want to continue to serve in the House of Representatives, I need McCarthy's money. Yeah. I need to support Kevin McCarthy. And Mike Johnson, he doesn't have any of that leverage. So as for, I mean, I think we've been saying on this show, the Republicans, it's highly unlikely that they make it through November with the control of the House. And I mean, at this point, I support the vacating of the chair just because I just want to slow down this train. I mean, they're running amok. They're going to spend $100 billion like that. They're going to pass another omnibus bill. I mean, whatever they've recently got on Johnson, he might as well be Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, I bet.
But you vacate that chair right now, and I think that's why Donald Trump came out and said, "Just leave this thing alone for right now." Okay,
Right.
But you vacate that chair right now, and like I said a couple of weeks ago, or maybe I said it last week, why would Johnson stay in there?
Right.
You removed him from his seat. I'm going home. That alone would be okay. Now,
I think that's what's going to happen anyway.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
I think people, if you don't take anything else away from this, you got to take away that there's only one party.
Right.
If you don't take anything else, this is the Republicans doing this to us, not the Democrats. We know the Democrats. We know what they're doing. This is the Republicans. Rand Paul came out and said Trump's going to lose all his base if he sticks with Johnson right now. And I can't stand Johnson. Don't get me wrong here.
I can't either. Right.
This guy, I've never seen a capitulation so drastic right in front of me in 2 weeks.
Well, and I think he went in with good intentions. We were going to give the guy a
I
chance.
do too. And that's
but you got to be a leader. That's
Right.
not enough. You got to have charisma and you got to have backbone. You got to be a leader. Mike Johnson is a freaking somebody's secretary.
Right.
But if you go back to Jeff Sessions, that's who Mike Johnson is. He is not that bulldog. You remember that we were talking about that Sessions had to be. Johnson is not, and I'm not saying he's a weak Christian. Believe me, I'm not. Okay, but I'm saying he's not that bulldog.
He's not a leader.
Right. He's maybe your third in command. That is bringing the coffee or the donuts in.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's the treasurer or something.
He's the treasurer.
Right. Into that skiff, and they showed him whatever pictures they had to show him. Whether it was, hey, this is where your daughter goes to school, or if it was, hey, here's whatever, and they own Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think
after the ship trip, they've owned him.
Go ahead.
I don't think that they showed him something that scared him on national security. I think they threatened him.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I know.
Here's where your daughter goes to school.
Not other congressmen, some agent from somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Some deep state agent that nobody knows his name.
Well, it wouldn't really take that much because, again, he is that accountant in the corner that got called to be the CEO of a company that really doesn't know too much about it. So, we saw you steal a coffee cup packet. Do what we want you to do. Got you.
All
You
those
know,
people
what I'm
living
saying?
in DC, who knows what sex party they were at? Who knows what nonsense they got into?
But for him, seriously, for me, I give him a whole lot more credit in staying out of that mess. I just think that there's something that he saw that they said, okay, listen, there's these cells that we've been watching. And this is going back to what y'all said. Y'all said after something happened. That the cells will be going off in the country, and I was like, I don't know about that, but y'all said that there were terrorist cells over here.
8 million illegal immigrants. Do the math.
Right?
No. It was something that happened, a bombing or something. Oh, well, it was around October 7th. That y'all were saying that, look for something to happen in the United States, but that was off of what the FBI was saying, heightened security and stuff. So I think that is, I mean, I'll jump on board with y'all from what y'all said. I said, I do think that is there. But I just don't know if they're going to be activated to a point that it's going to be before the election. I think that if Donald Trump gets in, I think that maybe some of these things finally might be activated.
I think the timeline. I don't think it's the election. I think the timeline will be Taiwan and Iran. I think if we end up engaged in either one of those events, that's when you're going to see that element of illegal aliens in this country start trying to influence our decisions.
BB going in there, boy.
And I think too, before
BB going in.
Before we leave the thought about Speaker Johnson, Democrats, if it looks like Trump is going to win, which right now there's some indications that he's going to win convincingly, then it is 100% possible that the Democrats are going to try something to get him to not be president, either taking him off the ballot, not certifying the election, claiming Russian interference in the election, so we're not going to certify the Electoral College votes. I mean, that is, I mean, right now I'd give that a 70% chance. And if Trump is leading in the polls, see, 2016, they like pulled one over. They didn't know what to do. But 2024, if it looks like, which right now there's a lot of indications that he's going to win by quite a bit, they're going to pull out all the stops, including not certifying.
Joe Biden went to Sheetz gas station yesterday in the city of Pittsburgh and had one supporter.
Yep.
In the city of Pittsburgh, a city that loves Biden more than anybody's business before.
I wonder if they knew he was going to be there, because at the beginning of the week, there was
people in there.
At the beginning of the week, there was only a handful outside the court thing for Trump. And then the next thing, you had a Trump rally and the bodega. But you just said, Jay, that he's going to win, that you thought that he might win convincingly. I think it's going to be close. Democrats need it close.
No. I'm saying if it looks like he's going to win convincingly, because let's be honest, economic data usually drives elections. You know, gas prices.
Well, if that's the case, then
East. What's that?
Well, if that's the case, then in 2020, the economic data, what with Trump did for us, should have kept him in office.
That was a steal.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And if you've been looking at some of the other websites right now, which I said a couple of days ago is really bullcrap, and I think that y'all agreed, they're saying that Biden is starting to come back in the polls. It's like, where? Why? How?
I don't look at any polls. It's all going to be about.
I don't either. I mean,
especially in April.
I just saw the headlines.
Right.
I didn't look at the polls.
One thing that Rush Limbaugh stuck in my mind that he always used to say is never look at polls until 30 days out.
Yep.
Because on election day, nobody knows what the polls were in April.
Well, and
I tell you this, I didn't really look at the polls. Well, when I first started, I understood what they did, and that's why I came up with my scenario between January and October. But we've seen many times that coming down to like the last 2 weeks in October, man, it's going to be a dead freaking heat.
October, it's going to be within the margin of error.
The margin of error.
Virtually.
That's why they created it. A margin of error. Up 3, down 3, -2, +2. You know, it's like, oh, man.
It's giving themselves a buffer to steal it.
That's all. But then again, if Trump, from what we saw since the beginning of the year, we'll just go from the beginning of the year because I think it was even earlier than that. But let's go from the beginning of the year. if it looks like he is going to win convincingly, throw that out and still show up to vote.
Oh yeah.
Don't accept anybody, and I ain't talking about you, Jay. Don't accept anybody saying, because you didn't say he was going to win convincingly. I'm saying to everybody that's watching us all across the land, if y'all hear people say he's going to win by a super landslide, be careful. Be careful, because the Democrats and Republicans, especially in Congress right now, they don't want to hear that. And
I think we're blowing it.
You basically, some of these decisions that are coming down at these Republican decisions are helping things to get blown.
You look at our strategy so far. What's our strategy? Our strategy is showing Biden making a fool out of himself. That's their only strategy. That's all the RNC's doing. They're showing these clips. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. This guy, and you know what? He came to Pittsburgh yesterday, and they threw a couple gaffe clips out. But I'll tell you what, with a serious face and incoherent language, he sat there and preached to Pennsylvania women that Donald Trump is the abortion king, and he's going to have a federal mandate, a federal ban on abortion, and that is a freaking tactic, and we're going to lose if we don't address it.
Yep.
Even though he hasn't said anything about
right, not a word. It doesn't matter. He sat up there and he lied.
It's just Lindsey Graham and all of them doing it.
Yeah, and Arizona GOP.
Arizona GOP, right.
Yep.
Right.
Carrie Lake is now a lead Democrat.
I saw that.
That's the Republicans doing this, man.
Yeah.
These Republicans are killing us. We got to get rid of them.
Yeah, Carrie Lake basically is what, man, she is I don't even think she's straddling the fence on this one.
It's lean Democrat.
Yeah. And I understand what you're doing. I just can't believe that you're doing it like this out here like that. I can't believe it, because
right. I mean, if you
could lose some MAGA voters like that while trying to pick up somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
And the GOP is poised to lose. That's what they're doing on purpose. It's unbelievable, but that's it. Don't look at things the way you want them to be.
Right.
This is where we're at, man.
Right.
It's crazy.
And when I say polls too, the polls they show us are different than their internal polling.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? They have their own reports. They have
That's
their
why
own...
DeSantis got out in New Hampshire.
Right. Yeah. They have all that behind the scenes stuff. You know, they can tell how many mail-in ballots are coming in. I'm saying this deep state is going to stop at nothing to prevent President Trump from taking.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
I saw a headline that said that Biden is going to declare a national climate emergency to stop the elections.
Good.
Or to stop Trump.
That could happen too. What's that called? A national emergency where you shift funds from the Pentagon for yeah.
Oh, when you declare national emergency, it's like being in war virtually.
It suspends the Constitution.
Yep.
Just like in COVID.
I was going to play this when Ava comes on from the new federal state of China, but and maybe I will replay it. But I want to see what y'all got to say.
They're strategically buying land around that. This is not random. They're in the same county. They're right up against this. How is this happening, Kyle? You're the expert here.
There's one down in Texas that right there on the border near Del Rio.
Right.
Where it's actually a Chinese general, General Sun, came in and bought over 100 square miles of land between our most active Air Force training base and our border. And he filed permits to put up windmills. It's an area on a scale of 1 to 10 that might have a wind factor of 3.5. If you and I were putting up a windmill, we'd put it up where it's an 8 or a 10, where there's some wind.
Right.
They want to put up windmills for two reasons. They want to connect directly to the U.S. grid so that they can upload malware to the grid and they can monitor the grid. And they also want to build these windmills 700 feet tall. Imagine a windmill that's almost as tall as the Washington Monument. And they can put cameras up there that map the horizon, and they can map the horizon with 1 square inch of clarity right next to our largest Air Force military training base. Every Air Force pilot trains at Laughlin Air Force Base. They can map every person, every plane, every hypersonic that glides by. What it has to do is go through a process called CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which the U.S. Treasury is in charge of. And DOD is a piece of it. There are all these different departments that are part of CFIUS, but the U.S. Treasury runs it. Here's the problem. The U.S. Treasury is owned by Wall Street. And Wall Street can't wait to invest another dollar in the land of 1.3 billion people of puppy dogs and rainbows and make some more.
We'll play the rest when Eva comes on. But
That's
think
chilling.
about that. Think about that. You know, we knew, or we've seen stories about CCP buying up land close to Air Force bases. Only a couple governors have signed laws that said that Chinese-based companies aren't allowed to do that, but that's going to the Supreme Court to overturn that, which the Supreme Court probably will overturn it. But for him to say 700 feet windmills
Connected to the grid.
connected to the grid, man.
It's terrifying.
And you would think that. I know.
No, we're sending money to Ukraine, man. That's our priority.
He came out and said, we're going to lose the war because the United States ain't helping, basically.
Oh, well.
That's what he basically said. We're going to lose because the United States won't give us any money.
I heard a story that they're enlisting people with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
What?
There's been several videos. I don't know the veracity of them, but it's been 3 or 4 different Down syndrome dudes I've seen like serving in, and like they're in trenches. So like it's it's guys, there is so much wild
Not
stuff
funny.
with this.
It's not
And
funny.
none of it'll shock me. I mean, if Biden suspends the election, if we're in World War III, whatever happens, like
They're in trenches, huh?
yeah. Yeah, they're in there with army soldiers.
No, I ain't gonna do that.
I'm just saying.
I ain't gonna do that. I promise. I'll be nice. I mean, we hit on everybody else, but I ain't gonna hit on I ain't gonna hit on that. I promise. I won't. No, I ain't. No, I am not gonna do it. I'm sorry.
Video now.
I probably will. What are they? No, okay, no, I ain't gonna do that. Oh man, I am Hutch Bailey Jr. today, boy. I could light this up if I really wanted to, y'all. I really could. Comedy is comedy. Yeah.
That's all we got left.
At this point, you really gotta laugh or cry about this stuff.
Down syndrome. We got trannies in ours, and they got Down syndrome over there.
And you're going against the Russians. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got Vladimir over there wrestling a bear. Meanwhile, we got some guy that's cutting his balls off, and they got the special needs guy.
Oh, man. We're doomed.
Oh,
How do you get them there? Do you drive them there in that big yellow bus?
short bus.
They're licking the windows and stuff. I got
Yeah, try some of this. Try some of this paste. This is good.
Right.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. I'm damn sure we're going to look for it now. Oh my God. That's ridiculous, man. Because why? Because they basically killed all the men in Ukraine.
But here's the problem.
For those that
Almost-
didn't get out.
Almost every single member of Congress, the most important thing in their life is being a member of Congress.
Yep.
They don't care about reality. All they care about is themselves.
Yeah.
Sickening.
Well, and actually, they make so much money that we never see from all their side gigs. You know what I mean?
And it's who?
Right.
Just imagine
Who?
this. Washington, D.C., obviously they're not living in the hood. So they're living in Georgetown or Alexandria or something like that, which is very high rent district. And they got a house of their own at home.
At
Right.
home. With a wall.
Yeah.
with a wall or behind a gated community. You really don't see a whole lot. You really don't see top level lawmakers uh, uh, just living in a middle class neighborhood.
Well, and imagine this gig. You get Washington, D.C., you get a budget, you get a staff, and you make whatever it is, $180,000 a year or whatnot, like pretty solid money. And that money ends up being like 1/10 of what you really make, because you get speaking fees, you get, somebody brings you on to do this, they're hiring your company or your brother's company to do something. It's just insane.
Juanita says, now every man that left the country has to return to Ukraine. I like to see them put that and force that one.
Well, the rich elites don't need to.
Those people, those men that left Ukraine is probably showing up at our southern border. Again, a few years ago, I didn't realize how many Ukrainian women we had over here.
Pittsburgh has a big Ukrainian population.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing about it is it's like the Jews and the people from the Middle East. In our biggest Jewish neighborhood, that's where the Mediterranean food is. They're right next to the kosher food.
Yep.
It's the same way with Ukrainians. You see a Ukrainian Orthodox church, and it's right next to a Russian Orthodox church. It's bizarre.
You saying that Israel, Iran, Arabs, Jews.
Well, Iranians aren't Arabs; they're Persians. But just saying.
But over there, they're all fighting.
Yeah, that was more not what I meant.
But over here, right?
If you come here from Lebanon, you go right to the Jewish neighborhood and set up a shop.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot in common.
Well, that's the beauty of America, is you get these people from around the world that say, I just want to be an American and live a normal life. You know what I mean?
Wanda saying,
Ukrainian women are beautiful.
well, they are.
Wayne's single.
Except for the ones with the babushkas.
Hey, but they can cook.
Yeah,
Right?
beets. Some borscht.
Well, and now they're adopting our social stuff, so you probably got to check things downstairs first.
Yeah.
Like, don't wait till you're too far in the process.
You get a whole lot of haggis on your table. Ava says devices not connected. So I guess she's working on that right now. Ava is from the new federal state of China. She'll be joining us in just a few minutes. Trump is back in court today.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like they've kicked out a couple jury members. Or it started this morning. One of the members of the jury came out and said, I can't be impartial. So they reclused themselves. And then I've been trying to keep up the last hour. There's been a couple other people they've been interviewing as they've been leaving that have said, they talk too much. Right.
Yeah.
They started
they want to become stars, like we said yesterday.
Yeah, and one comes out and says, well, I don't want my identity to be known. Well, what's the judge going to think if you say that? You're a Trump person.
Yeah.
So they kicked her off.
And what did we say yesterday? If you are a Trump person, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
You're in enemy territory.
Yeah. I mean, y'all can do that for 6 weeks, can't you? I mean, y'all hold.
The lady they removed, though, she was not a Trump guy or a Trump gal. MSNBC interviewed her, and she was fairly anti-Trump.
And she was afraid somebody would know who she was?
Yeah.
That don't make sense.
That's not kosher.
Not in New York.
Just saying.
We got Ava coming on. Ava Chen from the new federal state of China. I'm going to play this video. And then we're going to see our wonderful sister. She's here. I mean, she does a fabulous job on her podcast. And she is here once again, gracing us with her beautiful presence. I want to thank her for joining us in just a few seconds. But let me finish up playing this video, and then we'll have Ava on right after.
They're strategically buying land around that. This is not random. They're in the same county. They're right up against this. How is this happening, Kyle? You're the expert here.
There's one down in Texas that right there on the border near Del Rio,
Right.
where it's actually a Chinese general, General Sun, came in and bought over 100 square miles of land between our most active Air Force training base and our border. And he filed permits to put up windmills. It's an area on a scale of 1 to 10 that might have a wind factor of 3.5. If you and I were putting up a windmill, we'd put it up where it's an 8 or a 10, where there's some wind.
Right.
They want to put up windmills for 2 reasons. They want to connect directly to the US grid so that they can upload malware to the grid and they can monitor the grid. And they also want to build these windmills 700 feet tall. Imagine a windmill that's almost as tall as the Washington Monument. And they can put cameras up there that map the horizon, and they can map the horizon with 1 square inch of clarity right next to our largest Air Force military training base. Every Air Force pilot trains at Laughlin Air Force Base. They can map every person, every plane, every hypersonic that glides by. What it has to do is go through a process called CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which the U.S. Treasury is in charge of. And DOD is a piece of it. There are all these different departments that are part of CFIUS, but the U.S. Treasury runs it. Here's the problem. The U.S. Treasury is owned by Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And Wall Street can't wait to invest another dollar in the land of 1.3 billion people of puppy dogs and rainbows and make some more money in China. So whenever anything really comes down to it, if Treasury's in charge, we're in real trouble. And so all of these deals that you're showing here, many of them have just walked through CFIUS. So that's the problem.
Hi, Ava. First off, Jason, you wrong for sending me that video before we go live. All right. Okay.
That's good that you got enough time to upload it and play it.
Oh my goodness. Ava.
Yeah, we probably can't play that on some of these.
Yeah, not that one. How you doing? How you doing, Ava?
I'm doing great. I was worried about your mom. How is your mom doing? Because
she's, you know what? She's fine. I was gonna give a quick update a little bit, but my sister told me that she has someone to. She has to have someone with her at all times, except for when she's sleeping. They did have a meeting regarding mom. There's a new person in charge of the whole unit that's been there for 2 weeks. They have a new social worker that's been there for a little less time than that. And the physical therapist told them she cannot fall like that anymore. Her eye is swollen now, and her hip is still swollen but not broken. So, and she's sleeping a lot, which is, but thank you to the whole New Federal State of China group for their messages and stuff like that. Let them know that I appreciate their responses, as with everybody.
I'll keep praying for her. So, and
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Phil is on it. Dr. Phil is breaking it down, isn't he?
Yeah, the whole point that I wanted to ask people to focusing not only the content that Dr. Phil and Kyle Bass shared with you, which is the Chinese Communist Party purchasing the land, but I want you to pay attention to how strategic. This is well thought out. Okay, they're not like improvising. Oh, I like that land because that land, right, it's cheaper or what. This is overall strategy. That's what the New Federal State of China trying to convey to you. They have one goal, which is to destroy America, kill Americans. That's it. If you don't believe it, go review of the last show of this podcast. Okay, you have to see it together. You have to put big picture, all the pieces together. So it tells you how insidious they are. Okay, everything they do for a specific purpose to add on to the final goal, which is to destroy this country and kill Americans. So there's no other explanation why they do it. But the thing is, the Americans should be worried because you have a leaky vessel. Okay, why do I say that? Because you are a rule of law. You have a great, segregation of your power. You have 3 branches of the government, just to prevent the unthinkable happen. Your founding father had put a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure they are actually guided by divine power. They were a bunch of young people, and some of them are like a lot younger than me, and then they create something really amazing that lasted for the last 250 years. Okay, until the communists came into your country. So I want you to think about the leaky vessel, where it is. Carl Bass said it out loud. Okay, it's the Wall Street. And what does the Wall Street control? The Wall Street control your Treasury Department, right? And so my question to you is, what else Wall Street does not control in America? You tell me. If you look at your media, if you look at your social media landscape, you can all the way trace back to Wall Street. And I can tell you, Miles School told us, who are the 5 families that controls all your medias. It doesn't matter whether it's Wall Street Journal, a New York Post, or a Times Magazine, or whatever. It looks like there's a lot of diversity. No, it looks like the same thing. Propaganda controls all the Head and Shoulder, and Pantene, all those products. It's one company. So if you go all the way, it's a very concentrated power, and that provided the perfect opportunity for evil. Sorry. And why? Because evil watches it. When the evil CCP, the communists come in, they wanted to grab the power. So the more concentrated your system is, the easier their work. Okay, so they only identify the nodes in the system. They know, oh, okay, such a huge, complex system, but it's easy because these are the nodes. Okay, I'm going to capture those nodes, and I capture the whole system. Because of your concentration, because of your complacence, a lot of Americans don't understand how this world is ticking, how this world is running. They don't understand. They were lied to by the media. Okay, so they don't know where to look. They lost the ability to discern the good and evil. They still have the critical thinking ability because you were taught to, right? You were taught to question authorities, asking questions. It's built on scientific experiment, which is pushing the boundary of known knowledge, right? So you are built on this scientific mind. So you have the critical thinking ability, but you don't have the right information to come in. So you don't ask the right questions. So now you know the system is very, very concentrated already. When the CCP, extreme concentrated regime, because we have one dictator right now, okay? Xi Jinping trying to control everything, okay? So that's the ultimate form of tyranny because you have one emperor. That's why we call him dead emperor, because he literally, by putting himself in that position, he established so many enemies. Okay, so he is trying to seize your system. So Wall Street, let's go back to on the Wall Street. So that's why capitalism is not perfect. I'm hoping through this whole process and exercise, going through the biggest crisis in humanity, the West, American people or Canadian people or Britain people are gaining a whole different level of appreciation of humanity and learning about us, because we don't even know how to be a human because we're still killing each other. We're the same species. Have you ever seen a wild animal killing each other? Have you ever seen them killing each other? You've never. But we have been doing this for God's sake. Look at the history of humanity. We have to come out of this, be a better species, because we have a lot of unknowns in the space, in the universe that about to explore. And we have the tool right now. We have the AI. We have the quantum computing capacity never, ever seen in humanity, in the history of mankind. We have that ability to explore the unknown. But what stops us is the evil, is the satanic forces that has been seized in the system, which we just don't know where it is. And as the new federal state of China has pointed out to you, these are the evil dark forces that worship communism. Okay, they worship death, they worship Satan, and not just the Chinese communism, but also those international communists. This group has been existing for over a century, right? They took Russia, and then they came to China. The spectrum hunting the world initially started from Europe. Okay, so these are the history. So this is why we wanted people to understand. But what you played, I think everybody needs to think about this question, okay? Because we're a part of the system. Whatever we do, either help the system or against the system. There's no in between.
You know, I got another video that I wanted to put out there. I think this is talk about the system and how the system is helping. Well, they're helping in a way of being complicit with their silence about the fentanyl that's coming in.
Thank you. And Mr. Donovan, you've spoken about how drug traffickers now use social media platforms extensively to advertise drugs like fentanyl, connect dealers with buyers, and facilitate cash transfers. In New Jersey, I've heard from police chiefs and principals that dealers use platforms like Instagram and Snap to reach school-age children. Indeed, the major county sheriffs of America last year said that social media platforms are exploited by fentanyl trafficking networks to spread poison into American communities. Can you discuss how important social media is to the fentanyl trade and, in particular, how effective it is in reaching younger Americans?
It's extremely effective. It is an access point in everyone's home to many kids. It is the first thing they want to go on when they obtain a phone. And it is very easy for a dealer to then start marketing and advertising those illicit narcotics to those young kids. The challenge for law enforcement is trying to work with those social media platforms. There's an overwhelming number of distribution points all throughout these platforms, and trying to target those networks that have now gone to that side of distribution. Gone are the days where you go in a dark alley and you meet up with a dealer. It is now the dealers are online in that space. And they've made it easier because it's not only having drugs delivered to your doorstep, it's also paying for it via Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. So even the money, the financial means going back to the network is a lot faster, and it's a lot more efficient.
And this committee in particular has been concerned about the use of TikTok by the CCP. Is there any evidence TikTok in particular is being used to advertise fentanyl or other drugs?
Yes, there is. TikTok is another social platform that is absolutely being used to distribute narcotics throughout the U.S.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Yeah, so this is why, evil is always there, right? If from the biblical point of view, Satan is always there. God creates a Satan, but we need to keep them in check. But right now, through the work of the West, they feed the beast for 50 years. Okay, so now the beast is out of the cage. Okay, and they're everywhere. They're basically, they put their tentacles, their systems, their underworld, the gangs, the mafia, the criminal terrorist groups all over. They built the infrastructure. Okay, last week I was talking about infrastructure, money launder, because all those crimes that you can name it, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's drug trafficking, whether it's illegal wildlife trafficking, like any kind of crimes you can think of is about money, but they need to clean the dirty money. So that's why the CCP is most powerful. They are the biggest criminal organization, is because they have vertically and horizontally integrated the system so well. Okay, so the underworld now is officially part of the world under the sunlight. So they mingle this black and white together. That really truly achieve what the Xi Jinping's words. It's I'm in you and you are in me. Let's blend. Okay, once you blend, that's exactly what the society is, because you are part of the system that actually is destroying the humanity. Every one of us is, because you don't know you're in the system. You gradually walked into it. So yes, the evil expanding, and because if you are not expanding, then you're shrinking, right? So the ever growing. Okay, when you think about building a building, it takes time. But if you want to put explosive and blow out the building, it's like a second. Okay, that's exactly cultivating good and morality in society, taking time, taking painstakingly, taking good people, knowing what they're doing, education, proper communication, put it into the society, and have faith, guidance with divine power, and everything going choose the good path. But doing bad thing and teaching people bad thing is fast, okay?
Right.
Because it's self-rewarding. Why? If you give somebody fentanyl within the dosage, they're gonna feel high. They're going to want more of it. They're going to be addicted. So destroy humanity is easy, but going back to go to the righteousness path is hard. This is but the thing is, knowingly, we have to say we don't want to suicide, right? We wanted to save humanity because we're sacred. We're going to live going back to the face. So that is why we have to go through this painful process, which is right now we're seeing. And a news report just by Politico the other day talking about the embassy staff, the Chinese embassy in the United States actually met the Capitol Hill staff right after the vote happened, banning the TikTok. Remember that report that was just coming just days ago? This is desperate. You should see. Have you ever seen the embassy, the staff to come out and trying to persuade the Congress and to not ban TikTok? This is only happening in history twice. It tells you good things is happening. The first thing is I see from this news report is lobbyists no longer wanted to lobby for CCP, which is good. There used to be a lot of, when you pay them millions, lobbyists sign up and say, yeah, I'm gonna lobby for the Chinese Communist Party. This is business. I don't care what the harm done to the common people. It's business for me. Yeah. It's not about moral judgment. It's about business sense. Okay. But now lobbyists dropping the CCP. So the CCP has no lobbyists to use. Then what they do? They have to come out themselves. The very first time they did this is for Huawei. Remember, Huawei was banned by Trump, okay, in Trump administration. At that time, they came out, the embassy staff came out, diplomats directly talking to Congress, okay? But this is literally the second time. So it tells you they're desperate. And it also tells you how important it's for the United States to ban this TikTok, because this is a lethal weapon, just like Huawei. Huawei is for reconnaissance. It's for stealing all your communication and encrypted messages, right? So it's absolutely a national security issue. And so that's why not only TikTok, I think Miles Guo long predicted the United States would have no choice. For your own survival, you would have banned all the apps. You would have banned all the apps that is controlled by the CCP. That's including WhatsApp. Not WhatsApp. WeChat, which used by majority of the criminals and terrorists and cartels. Okay.
Yeah, we don't really get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've checked out that WeChat. I mean, if you look at some of the top mobile apps used in the whole world, WeChat is like almost at the top, but is that in all the other countries? Because we really don't have it over here.
You do. You have quite a bit user in the United States. Oh, you
Really?
do. You have lots of it. Yeah. You have millions, if not tens of millions, you have lots of user. And I can tell you every single Chinese pretty much use WeChat. Why?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way. When Chinese coming to a study or live here, they wanted to talk to the families. And WeChat is free. And WeChat is easy. It's a one-stop shop. But that's exactly what Chinese Communist Party had the best place to surveillance, to censor, to basically manipulate every single Chinese people. And not just Chinese. A lot of foreigners are using WeChat for convenience reason. Okay, and it doesn't charge you, and it's convenience. It's a well-functioned app, and so that is why. And a lot of people advertisement on WeChat, if their clients are more kind of Asian or Chinese focused, because not just the Chinese, there are a lot of Asian people are actually using WeChat. So they're creating a huge problem for Americans. But I really want to talk one news because we don't have much time. But I want you to pay attention to a recent letter that was actually written by the Senator Johnny Erst. He sent this letter to the Secretary of Agriculture. And this was an inquiry about a collaboration between, it's actually American Department of Agriculture funded vaccine. Okay, it's called bird flu virus tests. They're making gain of function, and they're trying to see how can they make this virus more contagious, more lethal, and how can they be passing on to mammals and humans. Okay, so I need people to look, to go find this letter and read for yourself. Okay, we know that WHO has been talking about disease X. Okay, and they have been talking about the pandemic treaty since when? Since 2 years ago. And May 27 is the date they're going to vote. 190 some countries is going to vote for the pandemic treaty. Okay, how they all going to agree how they're going to respond to the pandemic, like the one that so-called pandemic that we just experienced. But this is dangerous. I want you to, this is not hyperbole, and this is not me just saying conspiracy theorists. I want you to think about this. Our past has been shaped by very evil forces, okay? And the devils, the international communists, they have been shaping our past. And they're trying to grab the present in order to affect our future. If you paid attention to the 6 top agenda, the Chinese Davos summit back in 2008, there's a 6 top agenda. One of them is food, okay? So when people talking about, when you hear society talking about climate challenge, okay, way back, the climate topic, goes back to decades ago, 2 decades ago. And now we have EV. Yeah, we have EV industry, okay? So think about how they're shaping the public narrative and leading you to something that weakening and destroy America, because you are dependent on petrol, on gasoline, but they want to create a new industry, make you dependent on the EV, on the battery that you don't generate. But this is the same thing. They've started about, bugs is good. Beef is not good. Meat is not good. We all have to eat plant, creating lab, beef created a lab. We're going to, all of this. But now they're coming at your food chain. And why they want to study the bird flu, why they want to work with agriculture, why they wanted to actually study ducks and chickens and all the poultries and the cows. Just a month ago from Iowa. Iowa is an agriculture base. They produce so much chickens and eggs to the entire nation. And maybe they even export, I don't know. But looking what they're doing, they're trying to destroy the food that human relying on. And I can tell you, this is a global agenda to destroy human from every angle, okay? Whether the toxic vaccine, I'm very proud that I'm unvaccinated because of Miles Guo, because he told us as early as at the end of 2020, he told us, do not believe the vaccine. And in 2021, he came out explicitly said the vaccine is toxicants. There's an evil agenda behind it. So that is why the new federal state of China are proud to be the largest community out there that are unvaccinated. And Miles Guo didn't stop there. In 2021 August, he told us, don't worry, because a lot of our family members did not believe Miles Guo, did not believe the intels from the brave whistleblowers. So my dad, chose to take the vaccine, despite that I encouraged him not to, but they don't listen to me. They took shots. So right now, Miles Guo told, whistleblower, the antidote, which is artemisinin, ivermectin, and those things can help you to counter those harms that done by the vaccine. So I've urged my loved one, my family, my friends to take artemisinin, but still there are a lot of people who don't believe me. They don't take it, but that's their choice. I cannot do anything to force them to do something, but at least the tips are there. Okay, the information are there. So I wanted more people to hear about this. And if you wanted to know more about the detox protocols, follow the new federal state of China. And some of our fellow fighters has put up some of the protocols top on their social media posts. So, and this is definitely not a medical advice. These are just, out of desperate, we're trying to help our families and loved ones based on the true intel from the whistleblower coming from within the Chinese Communist Party. So, but I want people to pay attention. And very, very sad. I think it was just 3 days ago, U.S. government has pushed out a announcement saying that they would, work with 50 countries to put up a prevention measures to basically to prevent further pandemic happening in the future. And they were asking for the Congress for $1.2 billion to budget for this item for, multinational cooperation. But I would say the intention might be good. However, without understand what we have gone through, if you still call what we have just gone through a pandemic, then the chances are you're not going to prevent it, because this is not a pandemic. This is a artificial, man-made pandemic aims to kill people. There's no other explanation to it. And Moscow has whistleblowed so much intel that pointed out to where you can find out the evidence. Okay, but still a lot of the government are choosing not to, even stalling on the investigation of some of the work. But then, claiming that they can put more money and prevent the future pandemic. No. I think we need to understand where this COVID-19 come from and where the vaccine comes from, because all of them are package deal to harm humanity.
Hutch?
I'd like to ask you something, Ava, if I might, for you to look into, because I'm not completely sure of the whether it's factual or not. But you talked about Wall Street, and you linked Wall Street with a lot of the problems that are going on here, and I agree with you on that. You've noticed in the past couple months, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Boeing aircraft are having all kinds of problems. 767s and whatnot. They're just all one after the other. And I saw a story that the CCP aircraft industry has a knockoff of the Boeing 767 that's currently under review on whether to be used in the American market. And I just wonder if you could look into that, or if you know about it already. I mean, that's something that we probably don't have time today, but that's a pretty serious topic.
I will send you a report. You should read it. It's a report by Marco Polo, and it talks about how they steal the technology. It's very detailed, and I've checked a lot of the things that they put it in the report. I think it's a very credible report. I will forward it to you because I have that. And maybe read it, and in the future we can talk about it. Yes, absolutely. Boeing is America. Very proud brand. Okay, and it goes to, it's very sensitive technology because it's linked to your military and your national security issues. And CCP knows, and they knew they're gonna weakening you. They have to weakening Boeing. Okay, a lot of things you see is not that easy. But I wanted to paint it one thing for people. I don't want people to think black and white, because the world is never that way. Okay, when I say Wall Street, does not mean all Wall Street people are evil. But I can tell you some of them are actually completely in the same bed with the CCP. Okay. However, Moscow once told us, this is intel, 51% of the swamp holds 200 patents and ingredients of making all the medicine. And they actually control all the government, because they give, who gave the medical advice to all the government? They do. Whoever control those medical pharmaceuticals. But 51% of the swamp family, which control the Wall Streets, are actually control all the top 10 ingredients that needed for more than 200 medicines. Okay, so they have a lot of ability to control the world. So CCP only has to control them. So even in the Wall Street, there are good guys fighting. That's why you see a lot of good things coming, is because those good guys knew if the CCP is successful, they are the next one on the chopping board, because they have money. We're poor. Like, I don't have money. If they kill me, I know where I'm going. Okay, that's it. You can take my whole thing away. It does not worth much. And I'm not a challenge to the CCP, but they are. Whoever has the money, whoever has the resources is going to be the next on the chopping board. So that's why the good is fighting, and so including those good from the Wall Street. Because as I said, as Moscow said, capital has to return to righteousness. That's the only way we can save humanity. So don't think everyone from Wall Street is bad. No, we need them. They are our fellow fighters.
You know, Ava, you were bringing up Miles, and I just wanted to ask quick. Miles' next hearing date is set for about 3-4 weeks from now, if I understand correctly.
Okay,
And the new federal state of China, I'm assuming he's going to have a large presence outside, and they're probably going to bring people in. But how close is Miles' hearing to where President Trump's hearing is? Because those two, they're both in New York. And I was looking up courtrooms, and I'm like, how wild would it be if those two streams crossed in the universe?
Yeah, I think, sometimes I think it's amazing. It's a miracle. Like, I used to not, like, when I learned so much about Miles and the journey and, and he had to go through, I saw divine providence every step. I mean, what the odds the guy can make it so far?
Right.
Like every moment, like you think it's amazing. It is amazing. And even for me to do this work that I'm doing, I see it myself. The more I'm doing it, the more I thank God, because I couldn't put this together without him. I couldn't put together without the guidance. I don't know where it come from. It just came. It just came to me. So I have to believe there's something more powerful is at work right now. And when I see Trump's case, I see a lot of similarities. I see, although Intel, Miles Guo shared even back in 2021, he told us on live streaming, he said, it's the CCP's decision that the Trump, the CCP is going to use lawfare to prevent Trump to become the next candidates of presidential election. That was in October 2021, he said that. And at that time, we don't know what that means until later on, every single thing came along and one case after another. And Miles Guo also told us, CCP has planted so many traps for Trump. So, and he even said on live streaming once, I forgot the year, maybe 2022, he said, it's incredible. No president in history, whether it's Clinton, Bush, or anybody else, no president in history can avoid all the traps the CCP set for President Trump. That's what he said. Okay. So this is what people need to understand. The CCP, why we say they're evil and they're insidious and they thought out all the possibilities, is they play the victim role. They play the hero though, and they also play the perpetrator, because they're the perpetrator, but they have so many planned at the same time. So for example, they set trap for Trump. They want to bribe Trump. They want to coerce Trump. They want to compromise Trump through his family, through his advisor. You can see a lot of the things. I can tell you, a lot of things that they did, to set the trap for Trump. Okay. And then on the other hand, they actually trying to preventing him to becoming the candidates. You thought, maybe they want to giving him the business or lending him, the Deutsche Bank lending him the loans or coming a business deal is helping Trump. No, they want to destroy whoever speaks the truth. Whoever does not agree to collude with the CCP, they will destroy you. That's why they came after Miles, because Miles understands the system better than anyone. Miles had the intels. Miles had the insights for 30 years. He dealt with those people. He know their tactics. So we have a joke. I don't know how when I translated English, maybe it lose the flavor of it. So in Chinese, we say when those CCP officials farted, you already know what kind of feces or poops they're gonna have. So that's how you. Sorry, that's too colorful. But I don't know whether there is
first time fart's been used on the podcast.
Yeah, it's coming from me. It's kind of a not very girly.
I love it.
I don't know how to say it. You kind of already know. You smell their malfeasance from miles away. Okay, even a look, a gesture. That's why Miles Guo are so accurate, because he knew this is who they are, but they're trying to deceive the people. And they play all those roles trying to confuse you. People are easily to be confused because they're just insidiously evil.
Yeah. Ava, I gotta let you go. But I do want you to let everybody know how they can watch your show on Saturdays. And what are you going to be talking about this week?
This week I'm continuing on the last week's topic. Last week I talked about money launder and the cryptos, and this week I'm gonna do more on cryptos. And I have a full packed show about cryptocurrency. And the most important is I wanted people to know the trap that the CCP is planted for Americans and for the West and for the people. They want to get into your perception. So how you perceive, how you're judging, that's what they wanted to affect you. So that's why I'm doing this and talk more about that. So don't fall for their traps.
Dan Pena, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He was on the show a while back, and he claims he knows who created or who's at the top of the crypto thing. And if everybody knew, they would hurry up and take their money out. Do you know who's in charge?
I can tell you what Miles School said.
If you do, let's talk on. Let's talk.
Exactly, and why? The gentleman you mentioned, he only tells you it will fall. Don't go into. But Miles will tell you why. Okay, I can tell you why if you come to my show on Saturday.
There you go.
There we go. Because he basically said, if y'all knew who was in charge of crypto, y'all would run. Y'all would take all your money out and run immediately.
Yeah. And I touched this actually in my last show. I can tell you the biggest function of Bitcoin is money laundering. And there's 4 type of clients that Miles Gore told us. Who are they? CCP, Iran, Russia, Wall Street. Again, there's Wall Street bad guys and bad influences that are in cahoots with the CCP. That is why it's so hard for them to decouple the CCP, because their wealth, their fortune is tied in with this totalitarian regime. And another group is criminals, terrorists financing and criminal scams group, which pretty much controlled by the CCP. So here I go. That's counting on 70% to 80% of the volume of Bitcoin. Go check on dark web. If you are in dark web,
right.
Go take a look at that. So that's why Bitcoin will eventually disappear. And Miles School, in the last show, I even played a timeline. Miles School whistleblowed. Initially, he anticipated Bitcoin will be gone, completely gone, worthless, penniless in 2025. Why? Because we say 2025 is the fall of the CCP. Okay, and by the end of the 2020, CCP will be gone. That's why Miles anticipated that Bitcoin will be gone, because that's who they are using it, right? Majority of the traffic created by them. However, Miles School, in last show, I played a video. He talked about people are thinking, Bitcoin maybe lasts a little longer. So what Miles School said, Bitcoin maybe still exist for another year or two after 2025, but it will be gone. And I will tell you why, the reason why it will be gone.
All right, Miss Sister Girl, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be talking offline. But y'all make sure that y'all check out her channel on Rumble, and again, tell everybody over at the New Federal State of China, thank you for everything that they do, and we support them 100%.
Thank you so much, and God bless you, and I will pray for your mom. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Travis Wolf. Do you know that name?
Not off the top of my head.
Travis Wolf is a 12-year-old boy from Missouri. This is him. Travis was killed on December 20th, 2023, or I should say he was in a tragic attack on that night. He died some weeks later, head-on collision. The person driving the vehicle, who's now been charged with 6 criminal counts, is Indrina Bracco. Do you know who that is?
I do not, but let me communicate that I know that all of our hearts break for the family of this young boy who died in that accident?
Well, she's an illegal migrant here from Venezuela. Local law enforcement tell me that she was detained briefly at the border in 2023 and then released. And then she commits this crime. Multiple people have been stabbed in O'Fallon, Missouri by illegal migrants. Mr. Secretary, I know that you think your policies are a success. You sat right there in that chair and you've told me over and over our policies are working. You're on the record years and years saying that. Maybe they're working for you. Maybe they're working for your political objectives, whatever they may be. I don't know. But they're not working for Laken Riley or Travis Wolf or the people of my state.
It's disgusting to see honorable before that guy's name.
Yeah. The Senate yesterday decided that they weren't going to take up the articles of impeachment, just like we said that they were not going to do. And many people on social media were like, how could it not? Told y'all need to get out of bed instead of just waking up. You got to get out of bed and put some hustle to that muscle. Or
that's one of the reasons I called it. It's one of the reasons I called it historic times.
Right.
It's the Senate's never done that before.
No, they haven't.
The only time they came close was when they were impeaching a judge and he resigned before the impeachment hearing. But they've never done that.
And Hutch, say that again. This has never happened before in the history of the nation.
Think how many things that fall into that category lately.
Right.
Stuff falling off of planes, trains going off the tracks, poisoning water, destroying our own food supply.
School lunches, yeah. But you know what? Let's go back to probably the first time that I remember something like this happening is under Harry Reid. The nuclear option. That it had always been there, but nobody had ever really pulled it. And the Democrats pulled it. The nuclear option in the Senate.
Yep.
I'll tell you
go ahead, huh?
I'll tell you what it tells me. They know they're running out of time.
Yeah. But I thought that because Republicans fussed about it, clammed about it, jumped off it, don't do this. Excuse me. And for me, I thought, okay, when the Republicans get in charge, they'll just go ahead and stop it. Since they didn't want it, they'll go ahead and stop it. Mitch McConnell got up there and didn't even touch it.
Yep.
The nuclear option for the Senate is still operational, still valid if they decide to use it. It's just that before Harry Reid activated it, it was nobody ever done that before. And since then, so many things have happened in when Nancy Pelosi got in charge, she got rid of that that one vote thing. Really? She got rid of it. Nobody ever done that before either.
We were talking about how perilous the times are and how all this stuff's unprecedented, going after Trump or even the 2 Trump impeachments, all this stuff. But if you think, and Ava touched on it, the United States was built to be all these independent states and have independent people that provided for themselves, that had little oversight and governance. It was basically just make sure you get along. We're here to manage disputes. We were never designed to have a government that people were reliant on for everyday functions.
Right.
We were never designed to have a government this big. Now you've seen this conglomeration, and the reason we didn't is because we lived under a monarchy, and we're like, monarchies suck. It's all top-down power. They control everything. We don't want that. That's why we built government to be ineffective. You had to have all this agreement before you could move things forward. When people complain about the government's not doing enough, that's a great complaint because the government isn't supposed to do much. Right. But if you look at how everything's getting centralized, and now like you have essentially one party in DC, you
listen
can't
up, Stephen Dowd. Stephen Dowd, listen to what he's saying right now.
Right.
And you'll understand your numbers question.
Oh, what was his numbers question?
Love Josh Hawley. There's 49 Republican senators and 48 Democrats. There's 3 independents. How do the Democrats get control with numbers like that, Jason?
There's one party, and it is the elite party. These people get in there. They get bought by big money interests, by corporations,
Yep.
whoever, the military.
Sex
industrial-
tapes.
Yeah,
Mhm,
sex
mhm.
tapes. They blackmail them.
Little boys, cows.
But and understand how this power is getting centralized. How many Americans are utterly reliant on the government?
Yep.
Like right now in Minnesota, they're touting like, oh, the government's paying for school lunches for kids. You are so ineffective as a human that you need the government to feed your kid lunch. That is all part of the government dependence, because once you centralize that power, it's easy to take over. Like if it's
Whenever they want to.
decentralized,
Yeah.
And they want you stupid, and they want you hide up.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's why.
and marijuana. Let's make more drugs legal. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Let's make these people go out and just watch TV and eat popcorn.
And think of that. For
Jason.
The House impeached a guy, and the Senate didn't even hold a hearing. They didn't even say, like, let's do a sham hearing like they usually do. And then not only that, the media should have been screaming, guys, this is a constitutional requirement. Even if you think it should have been every headline on every newspaper, this is an assault on the Constitution. You didn't even hear a peep. You heard them make fun of them.
Jason was talking about the dependence, and well, actually, Jason went all the way back to how things used to be.
Right.
Back then, we had adults. Back then, that were that felt better when they did their own stuff. That that were proud of their accomplishments. Whether it was building stuff for the city, the Baltimore shipyards or the Pittsburgh coal mine, they were proud after they built it up. They were proud of things that they saw. And then even through the farmers used to be proud of the products that they were able to help. And I mean, can you imagine coming out every morning and you're looking at your fields and, look at that. Yeah, okay. Well, I got to get over there and take care of that because I got a timeline for that. I got a timeline for that. I got a timeline for that. And they knew they were helping everybody. Just as soon, and again, to continue what Jason was talking about, just as soon as the federal government decided to centralize everything, to take the power from the states and to take over stuff, they made adults children to depend on what Jason and what Hutch are talking about, to depend on the federal government. And on top of that, you create these dependency programs. Y'all call them
entitlements.
They create the entitlements. And then what happens then? You can't take no entitlements away because just as soon as you give them to them, if you take them away, little kids get angry when you take stuff away. And then we don't want them fighting back. We don't want them, good. So let's just give him more. Let's just give him more.
You listen to the theories, but at the media and other places, and a lot of Americans say this, and it's ridiculous when they say there's an impasse, it's a blockade, nothing's happening in Congress, like Jason was saying. Nothing's happening. No laws are getting passed. Guess what? That's the way it was designed. The Senate has all those rules because the Senate is where legislation goes to die. Yep. The founding fathers were brilliant. They knew that unfettered lawmaking would make us slaves. Yep. So they made it to where it's 6 years, and the state legislatures sent the people in there to protect the interests of their states, and activists destroyed that by passing the 17th Amendment and making it a popular vote for senators. And now it's just shot.
And I mean, just two thoughts. So thought one is states used to be concerned about their own individual rights because they didn't want to pay. And now we saw like Maine passed a popular vote law that said they're going to give their electoral college ballots to whoever wins the national popular vote. And I mean, that's hugely anti-democratic. Maine should be looking out for Maine more so than the United States as a whole. They should be doing that. The second thing is just as a oversimplification. Government was set up that you had to have 2/3 consensus before anything moved, Government wasn't meant to be 51%. Now we can do
And that's your
whatever
nuclear option.
That's your
Right.
nuclear option, right?
Yeah, and I mean all of it, between the filibuster, between all that stuff. As an overall statement, you were supposed to hit like 60-70% agreement on something before you did it. And if you didn't hit that level of consensus, you don't do it. And that was, and if you look now, freaking Democrats, I mean, in Minnesota got 51%, and they have passed every Marxist regulation possible. And that's why it's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic, because it shouldn't be 51%. You can run like a freight train. Of course, only one side does that, but yeah.
And I'll tell you what I said earlier, that they think they're running out of time. I'm not talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about the government.
Yep.
Yep.
We're all fired up now.
Fired up, baby. And it's
Just one quick note, Jason. You're never going to see Trump and Miles in the same court. One's New York State and one's federal government.
Oh, I didn't know if they were in the same city.
Isn't Bragg? Yeah, but Bragg's a state prosecutor.
He
In New
is. I
York.
didn't know how close those buildings were. So
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
I
'cause-
got you.
yeah, I know they're in the same building, but I don't know my New
Miles-
York geography.
Miles is in the same prison that John Gotti and Sammy Gravano were in.
Oh,
Oh,
my
really?
gosh,
Yeah.
wow.
that's wild.
Jason sent me the video.
Don't play it.
I ain't gonna play it, but it's kind of funny when the guy turned around. I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of weird when you see him turned around and
Dude, there's
Man,
like 5 of those
that's-
videos.
that's wrong. That is so
The whole
wrong.
thing, the whole thing's wrong.
Right.
Wiped out a whole generation of people.
Yeah, we
Oh my
for
God.
those who don't know, so there's some things you can't share on some of these platforms. And like I follow foreign like Telegram channels for news and stuff, and videos came out of special needs people in I shouldn't laugh, but it's like they're down
I
to
shouldn't
that
either.
level. Yeah. Oh my! If you see the conscription videos where they just like pull up and start grabbing dudes, hey, you're going to the front line. Wonk.
I saw that. I saw that on the street.
Whoa.
It's like a van. It's like 3 or 4 people out there pulling the guy, and the guy's kicking, and they're in the van. They're like, "Yeah, you're going to war, boy."
Going to the front line.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to what we call the Wayne Dupree broadcast. We're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you follow us on social media. Review.
Turn down the music, Wayne. It's drowning you out.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. How's that? That's good right there?
Yeah. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Don't forget to check us out on podcasts. Add us to your playlist. So if you missed anything throughout the week, you can listen to it. And please write a review. We're asking, please write a review, whether it's short, whether it's long. Hopefully it's a favorable one. But do that. Do that for the Wayne Dupree podcast on wherever you listen. Okay. J-Rob and then Hutch.
All right. Well, hey, folks, Wayne Hutch, great week of shows. This weekend's going to be spicy, folks. If you're following any of the news, sounds like they're going to pass the Ukraine bill this weekend. So good luck on that. That'll be, I think they were saying on Saturday, they're going to bring it to the floor. So, and Friday night, Saturdays, where they always try to sneak stuff through. But on a personal note of hope. So I've talked about my church a lot, and my old church I wasn't happy with. I found a new church, and it's great. Today I found a new doctor in my same clinic. First meeting with him, he's like, we got to see how many medications we can get you off. Let's talk diet. Let's talk exercise. Let's
That's
talk
rare.
getting you off prescriptions. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm almost 50, and I found a great doctor. So just keep looking. If you got a crappy doctor, crappy church, there's good ones out there.
Yeah, that's good. Good for you. It's very rare. I mean, I once had a battalion commander whose son was into pharmaceuticals, or no, he was a doctor. And he said doctors are just legal drug dealers.
Yeah.
And he's right, man. I mean, I'll tell you, my ex-wife worked at a heart doctor, and every Wednesday they bring the spread in. Boy, everything, lunch, roast beef, everything, free samples, all these drugs to get people hooked on them.
Yep.
Aye. Wayne, One of the most brilliant things you ever did was give us off Friday. I need a break. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking with us. We'll be back next week.
See you on Monday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, hey, y'all be careful. And remember, if y'all get in trouble, don't call us because we're all going up to Hutch's cabin for the weekend.
There's
And,
a hole in the roof.
Okay, well, check that. We won't be going up.
That's why I haven't been going up. Get ready to sue this dude.
We can fix the roof.
I got to sue the guy first.
Ah.
Well, I'll cook, and y'all can go up there and fix the roof.
I'm
and
in.
then come down. Okay, all right, bet.
As long
All
as
right,
Wayne's
y'all-
cooking, I'm in.
There we go. All right, y'all have a great weekend. God bless.